Hello and welcome to another selection of the hottest Q&As Reddit has to offer. What is the longest you've gone without knowing a person's name? My next door neighbor introduced himself when he moved in. I promptly forgot his name. I danced around it for that same 5 years. He was from a French-speaking part of Canada, so when talking with my wife, he was French guy next door. 5 years after first meeting, he admits in a conversation that he'd forgotten my name. We have a good laugh and reintroduce ourselves. His name was Guy. I had it right the whole time, he was French guy next door. I moved into my condo in 2011 and I introduced myself to my one neighbor next door to me but instantly forgot his name. We would see each other in passing for years and I would always just say hi in the casual conversation. I met my wife in 2018 from a long-distance relationship, and when she finally moved in with me there was the awkward moment when I introduced her to him. I said, "This is my fiancé, X, and we're getting married next month." He said, "Congratulations and nice to meet you," then walked away. She asked me what his name was and I said I have no freaking clue. Later that day she said his name is Brad and I was like, "Oh, he looks like a Brad," and she said he had no effing clue what my name was either, so no big deal. My name is apparently Darren to this nice couple who own a restaurant in my town. My name is not Darren, I've known them for 2 years. We're even Facebook friends, they can literally see and read my name, but it's cool. I always wanted to try being a Darren. I like this reply the best. Darren. I've been on the receiving end of this. My nickname in college was the Mayor and I had people I had known for years coming up to me at my graduation saying I had no idea your name was actually Dan. 1. Happy Cake Day. 2. How do you end up with a nickname like Mayor? A whole school year I knew their names, I just didn't know which twin was which and they weren't identical. I have 2 cousins named Matthew and Martin. They are not twins and don't look anything like each other, but I have no idea which one is which. I've lived in my townhouse for almost 5 years now, and I don't know the name of the guy who lives directly across from me. I have pretty regular interactions with most of my neighbors, but I've never talked with this one guy beyond just exchanging pleasantries while passing each other. When I moved in and first met him, I immediately forgot his name. I was almost positive he said it was Mike, so I went about 4 years just assuming that was probably his name, but not quite confident enough to actually call him Mike. Then a few months ago I was talking to some other neighbors in the parking lot when he walked by, and my other neighbors called out, "Hey, name that is not Mike." So it was confirmed that this guy's name is not, in fact, Mike, and I was relieved I hadn't been calling him that for the past 5 years, but I immediately forgot again what his name actually is, so now all I know is that it is something other than Mike. My abe, I'll learn his name by the time I've lived here 10 years. My cousin gave birth to a baby girl like a year ago and I still don't know her name. Maybe you can wait a few years until she's 4 or 5 and ask if she can spell her name. She'd be excited to do it for you. Gonna be trouble if she spells it completely wrong. Most likely over a decade. I'm in the UK and I've got to know many a bar acquaintance down my local pub. Over time you get to know about their work, hobbies, likes and dislikes. You get to know how many kids they have, how many times they have been married, etc., etc. Then a friend from out of town visits you. And as you do in the UK, you go to the pub. Lo and behold, your pub acquaintance is there and you introduce your pal from out of town only to realize you know everything about your pub pal, everything except their bloody name. Work in a pharmacy. A young woman, say late teens early 20s, came up and asked to pick up her grandmother's prescription. I said no problem. What's her name? She looked at me with a blank face, asked me to hold on and called her family. I'm a waiter. There are lots of customers who are regulars and I've known them for years, some of them close to a decade. Very few of them I know their names. Some of them get nicknames amongst the staff. Some favorites are Twix Man, as he would always leave a Twix chocolate bar with a tip. Emma and Stacy, 2 sisters who used to come in a lot, I know their names but not which one is which. The Vegans, a young couple who were vegan but really cool, I do know their names now to be fair. Dog Park People. We see each other and talk almost every day but they're always dogs named Mom/Dad. I'm sure at some point their name come up, but I just keep forgetting. My dog's groomer does this too. Like I walk in and she yells, "My dog's name S Mom is here." Makes sense, she spends way more time with him than she does with me, lol. Dating my girlfriend for a year. Still don't know her name. Premarital name knowledge is a sin. Unexpected Mormon. Lol, they have been dating for a year. Come on, if he was Mormon they would already be married. What is the longest you've gone without knowing a person's name? About 23 years. Didn't know his first name. That turned out to be important for me, in a weird way. He was a Marine gunnery sergeant in Vietnam. Gunnery sergeants are addressed as Gunny. I never called him anything else but that. He didn't make it back. 23 years later, I visited the wall and learned his first name. Made a difference for me. Hard to explain. Here's the story. Fair warning, it's a long one. Dark. 10 years, the people from my office but from different division. They seem to know me and often call me out when I passed by, but I don't know their names and at this point it seems awkward to ask them. This is the worst. I work in a warehouse with a pretty big sales staff, maybe 40 to 50 people. 90% of our interactions are over the phone, so I know a bunch of names but I'm not entirely sure which faces they match up to. My 1 year is quickly approaching. The exterminator that came to my parents' house every month to spray it had a very long Polish last name, many consonants, few vowels. People tried to pronounce it, but just couldn't. Instead, they simply referred to him as the Bug Man. I thought everyone called the exterminator the Bug Man regardless of name. At work we have this old dude who drives shuttles. His name is Ron. I say, "Hey Ron." every time I see him. 5 years down the road I see Ron standing next to another old dude. Turns out we have 2 shuttle drivers. I've been saying hi Ron to the other guy 50% of the time for 5 years. Does this count? Your brain's facial recognition might not be operating at optimal levels. Decades. I meet a lot of people thanks to my job and I have a fairly distinct name so folks seem to remember me. Between my weed smoking and crafty memory I kinda gave up. You're seriously the only Rex-a-Vision I ever met. What would have been your answer or question? Leave it in the comments below. Slap that like and subscribe button for more, and check out the link in the video description for even more answers. Peace out, and catch you in the next video.